Hey, what's up, gang? It's Matt Modi with OddsJam, and today I will be giving out my 4 picks for NFL Sunday. Before I get started, I do just want to preface that I've switched up the format of how I do my 4 picks. So before, I would do one lock, one dog, one game, and player prop, but as an astute listener let me know in the comments that a lot of times, if you're looking at the odds page, just because the odds. So like just because look for this Chiefs game, for example, the best odds is on DraftKings, not Pinnacle, doesn't necessarily mean that that is a positive EV play because you need to take out the VIG. So if you take out the VIG, I would imagine that the OddsJam Perfect line has this Chiefs money line worse than minus 435. And if we want to do the stats, so let's see, minus 446 plus 367. Let's look at make sure minus 446 plus 367. Minus 446 plus 367. So it looks like it has the true line at minus 381. And the best odds are only minus 435. Obviously, this wasn't going to be one of my locks because as the rules were, it had to be worse than minus 200. But that was a good point by the person who made that. It made me realize that instead of just giving out picks where let's just have it up. So the money line might be better than the OddsJam Perfect line. It's rarely better than the VIG. So when you take out the VIG, I should say. So that's for the lock. A lot of times you'll see the plus money underdogs be more positive EV, but as you can see here, almost all of the underdogs are have Pinnacle the OddsJam Perfect line as the best odds. So this, like the Texans, no way. The Giants, no way. The Bills, I considered, that was one, but again, it wasn't positive EV when you take out the VIG. And the Bills, they've kind of been cratering. So I will be giving out 4 picks that I'll be putting $100 on, but the format will be a little different. That was a long way for me to say. Instead of doing the lock, underdog, game, player prop, I'm just going to find 4 positive EV plays, put $100 on them. So that way they're actually positive EV, and I can look at the market width and make sure they're within the 25 points. So I filtered out all of any other sport. Right now I just have football. Unfortunately, there were no spread or money line odds here, so I wasn't able to do anything with like a lock or dog, but I did find 4 plays that I really liked. It ended up being 2 player props and 2 game props. So the first one is this Jared Goff under 20.5 passing completions. So the OddsJam Perfect line has it at minus 126. We are getting that at plus 100 on Caesars. And if we, the market width, as you can see, is within the 25 points. It's at 21. And if we take out the VIG, let's see, it was minus 126, minus 105, minus 126, minus 105. It has a perfect line around minus 108. And like I said, we're getting that at plus 100. So that's the math behind it and why I like it. And then when you look at Jared Goff's stats, so they're playing a pretty good defense in the Broncos. And if you look at his completions, the funny thing is when you look at it, he actually does have over 20.5 majority of the times. So you might wonder why this is a good bet. But for a game against the Broncos where you figure both teams aren't going to be, really scoring a ton, I would imagine that they're going to lean more heavily on the run game and that Goff is just going to have one of those games, kind of like he did against Pittsburgh, where he just struggles the whole game. So I'm not expecting to have a huge game from Goff. Denver is going to be one of the better defenses that he faces. And, I'm not projecting him to have one of these games where he passes 57, 30 plus times, 42, stuff like that. I'm expecting this to be a lower scoring game. The Broncos run the ball. They kind of milk the clock. They don't have as many plays. So the Jared Goff under 20.5 completions, it's an example of why I like using OddsJam, because it's not something that you would normally find. And it's positive expected value based on the OddsJam Perfect line, and it's within the 25 points for the market width. So it's a pick that I really like, and it's one that I've locked in. So this one was on Caesars. I actually had another one on Caesars, so I will show my bet slip after that. And the next one is this Chiefs Raiders under 24 first half points. So this is another one that is within the market with. This one is within 14 points. The OddsJam Perfect line has it at minus 128. Again, Caesars, we're getting that at minus 110. So it's over 4% positive expected value. And when you take out the VIG, so it's plus 114, minus 128. It has the OddsJam Perfect line at minus 120 with the VIG taken out. And we are getting that at minus 110 on Caesars. So there's the positive expected value. For the football reasons why I like it, the Raiders' offense has been struggling recently. I believe they put up less than 20 points total against the Washington football team last week. I think people haven't quite gotten over how bad the Chiefs started on defense. But if you look at their stats for the past couple weeks, their defense has actually been playing really well. So if you look at their schedule, they're giving up these crazy point totals to begin the year, but pretty much since that Titans game, they've been much better. So they gave up 17 to the Giants. This Packers game you really can't count because Aaron Rodgers didn't play that game, so we'll take that out. But they gave up only 9 points to the Cowboys, a fully healthy Cowboys team, 14 to this same Raiders team just a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago, and then only 9 points to the Broncos. So they've been playing much better on defense, really since that Bills game. And then again, the Titans game was pretty rough. And the Chiefs offense on the other side of the ball isn't quite the offense that we're used to seeing. If you look at, so they scored 41 against the Raiders, like I said, in that same game, but 3 points against the Titans, 20 points against the Bills, 20 points against the Giants, only 13 against the Packers without Aaron Rodgers. So they had a ton of opportunities. 19 against the Cowboys, and 22 against the Broncos. So they've kind of been struggling recently on offense. They had a faster start against the same Raiders team. And again, so I had the first half total under 24. This one hit 24 exactly. I believe it was, under. So that would have pushed. But in all the other games, I think that was the only one that went over in the first half. So Chiefs have been struggling on offense. I don't expect them to have another game where they're putting up 41 points. And even if they do, they put on the majority of that in the second half, 24 points versus 17 in the first half. So I expect the Chiefs defense to play well, and I don't expect them to have as good of a game on offense. So that'll be my second play, this first half total points under 24, and I've locked those both in on Caesars, as you can see right here. So the Jared Goff under 20.5 and the first half points under, minus 110, plus 100. So for the next one, I found a play that I really liked, and that is this Marquise Brown over 4.5 receptions. So this one, the market width ended up changing, unfortunately, since I got it. But I already locked it in on DraftKings, as you can see here. This is the other plays one above, but it's still a positive EV play. Unfortunately, with the difference in market width, that's okay. 32 is higher than I normally like, but it's not as high as this like CD Lamb one here, which is close to 40. Stuff like that. So if we take out the VIG, minus 132 plus 100, minus 132 plus 100, puts the perfect line at about minus 113. And we are getting that at minus 105 on DraftKings and BetMGM. And then for the football reasons, this has been let's look at his stats, a tough couple weeks for the Ravens offense. But if you look at that 4.5 total, he's only gone under that. None in the last, what's that, 6 games, and only 3 times all year. Lamar Jackson, like I said, he has been struggling recently, but a player like Marquise Brown with the elite speed he has, they try to get him the ball in multiple ways. So he's a deep threat, but he could take a screen to the house, he could take a slant to the house. So he's pretty heavily targeted by Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. And so if we look at his targets, 6, 10, 7, this one 5, not great, but again, look at the score. Denver only scored 7 points, and then 10. 14, 12. So he's getting double-digit targets majority of the time, and I would trust that he'll catch half of his targets. So This is a bet that I really like. Unfortunately, the market width changed to make it outside of the 25, but excuse me, it's a bet that I still really like. I put the 100 on it already, as I showed you on DraftKings. And these teams just played 2 weeks ago in a terrible game for the Ravens offense, and Marquise Brown still ended up with 8 receptions on 10 targets. He only had 51 yards, so the yardage total hasn't really been there for a lot of these, but all he needs to hit is 5 receptions, and I'm confident he can do so. He even did so last week against a much better defense in Pittsburgh in a game, again, where the Ravens offense struggled. But, the Ravens defense is banged up. They lost another cornerback, Marlon Humphrey, for the year. So I would expect that the Browns would be putting up more points than the 10 points they did a couple weeks ago. So the Ravens might have to pass a little bit more. Even if not, he's shown that he could still hit that reception total in a lower scoring game. So that'll be my third official play that I put $100 on, this Marquise Brown over 4.5 total receptions. And then the last one is a game. The odds are a little bit worse than I normally like, but the market width is there. It's at about 25 exactly. This first half total points under 22 between the Panthers and the Falcons. So the math side of it, the OddsJam Perfect line has it at minus 166. We're getting that on DraftKings at minus 140. So if we take the VIG out, it's plus 141. Minus 166. That puts the odds at about minus 150. And again, those 10 points between minus 140 and minus 150 is where we are getting the positive expected value. So, like I said, I know the minus 140 is worse odds than I normally like to take for anything that's not a lock. But, based on the OddsJam Perfect line, it gives it about a 60% winning percentage, which is something that I felt confident in. And just looking at these two offenses, they've been struggling. So, the Panthers offense really hasn't been great, since Sam Darnold got hurt. They had a good first couple weeks, but they've really been struggling since. And Cam had a fun first week where, they beat the Cardinals and he, yelled at everybody saying, "I'm back." But he's really, really struggled since then. And on the other side of the ball, the Panthers defense has been much better than people expected going into the year, and they've kind of consistently been good all year. They have a game record pass rusher in Brian Burns. They have some other good players along the line. They have they traded for a good cornerback in some point at the beginning of the year when they were still a little bit better and had some playoff hopes. And I just think that this is going to be a lower scoring game. The 22 first half points is not something I expect to see hit. The Panthers also fired their offensive coordinator, and we've seen kind of two sides of that. We've seen sometimes the team rallies after losing someone that have been running their offense when it's been put on someone else. But normally, it's tough to replace a coach within a week and have a cohesive game plan. The Giants fired Jason Garrett, and I think they put up 13 or 15 points when they did beat the Eagles, but that wasn't because of their offense. Their offense struggled. So Cam Newton, PJ Walker, whoever the Panthers have in at corner or quarterback, they're not going to have Christian McCaffrey at running back. And then the Falcons offense, they're hit or miss. They haven't had Calvin Ridley for a while. Their only real threat is tight end Kyle Pitts, who's good, but the Panthers have pretty good linebackers that can cover him up, and they've had some luck with Cordero Patterson out of the backfield. They've kind of discovered something there, but not enough for me to have faith that they'll put up points, especially in the first half against the Panthers. So this will be my fourth and last official play. The Panthers-Falcons under 22 first half points. Again, that is on DraftKings. And those two bets are locked in here. Under 22 is an alternate first half total. Then the Marquise Brown receptions, minus 105, minus 140. So I have those picks here. I will unhide them. There's one more. Excuse me. I will unhide them. It felt like a good time for me to kind of switch things up because since I had this 4-0 week, let's see, where's the, since I've had, the Titans were the last lock. So the last 3 weeks I've done this, I've been down 276. Obviously with my worst week being not last week, but the week before where I had my first 1-3 week. So, based on the feedback I've gotten back on the comments about the EV and the market width, I wanted to make sure that I was putting in positive expected value bets across the board and that were within the market width. So these are going to be my 4 plays. Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown over 4.5 receptions. Panthers Falcons first half under 22 points. Goff under 20.5 completions. And Chiefs Raiders under 24 first half points. And those are going to be my 4 picks. So let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. You can find me on Twitter at my handle below, Modi_sports. You can email me, Matthew@oddsjam.com. I try to always respond to my emails. And then you can also comment on the video. I check those out as well. So that's all I got for you. Happy betting, happy watching, and good luck.